welcome back to Shilpi's Academy. So I hope you all did your little bit of homework that I gave you, and that was read 50 pages. So I have already finished on how you have to deal with the comprehensions, the tips on how to read through the comprehension. But as they say, to know the actual thing, you have to get into the field. If you have to play a match of football, then it's just not enough on getting the advice and practicing the strategies. Ultimately, you have to get out on the field and play. So same thing over here. Now we have to finally get into the field, and that means we have to pick up comprehensions one by one, and I am going to solve it along with you. Come on, let's start. So this comprehensions which I'm taking is from your book itself. It's exactly copy pasted from your book. Just to make the document a little attractive, I have copy pasted it into this Word document. Let's go into this comprehension. Now, first step, what I told you, if you remember my 3-step rule, the first step was read through the passage as fast as possible. Second was go through the questions. And third was go back to the passage again and try to understand it. Okay. These were the 3 steps to follow. Apart from this, we were supposed to be understanding the tone or the theme of the passage, the central idea of the passage, look into the details and the connecting dots. Okay. And try to logically analyze or interpret what are they trying to say. So let's start. It's an old saying that knowledge is power. Education is an instrument which imparts knowledge and therefore indirectly controls power. Therefore, ever since the dawn of our civilization, persons in power have always tried to supervise or control education. Till now, what we are understanding is that we are talking about civilization and education. So that means it can go to the history era also. Then it has been handmaid of the ruling class. During the Christian era, the ecclesiastics controlled the institution of education and diffused among the people the gospel of the Bible and religious teachings. Hold on. Right now, we are talking about the Christian era. What was the state of the education over there? What was the tendency of the people towards education? Okay, so that's what they're saying, diffused among the people. That means feed that information into the heads of the people. Now, Gospels of the Bible, I think you should already be knowing. Gospels basically are like the teachings of the Bible, you can say. These Gospels and teachings were no other than a philosophy for the maintenance of the existing body. It taught the poor man to be meek and to earn his bread with the sweat of his brow. So this sentence, take note. This sentence, why we have to take note? 3-4 idioms, phrases, complex words combined into it. So what they are saying is, in this Christian era, they were teaching this poor man that you are supposed to be poor. You are supposed to be meek. Meek means a person who is not bold enough, who does not have guts enough to speak out, to be confident. He should just be meek, quietly, just listen to whatever is being told and do to whatever is being told to him. Okay, just like a slave, you can say. And to earn his bread, you all know what is earn his bread, earn his livelihood with the sweat of his brow. This is the brow. Sweat of his brow is basically trying to say with hard work, with back-breaking hard work. Okay, go on further. While the priests and the landlords, we all know who's priests and the landlords, lived in luxury and fought duels for the slightest offense. What duels is when two people are fighting with each other, duel fight. That's a fight for duel. You need not always understand the exact meanings of both the words, but basically also if you're trying to say, understand what they're trying to convey, that's more than enough. During the Renaissance, now the Christian era is over if you see, and we are talking about the Renaissance. During the Renaissance period, education passed more from the clutches of the priest. What do you mean by clutches of the priest? Clutches means in the hands of. Okay, we say the vulture caught the rat and it was in its clutches. Clutches means now you cannot go out. You have held it tightly. Someone has held it tightly and you cannot go out of it now. So what they're trying to say is, in this Renaissance period, the priests, we all know who's priests, right? The people who are the religious leaders, you can say. So these priests were the people who, the priests were holding it, okay, in their clutches. But from their clutches, it passed on to the princes. Princes is the kings, okay? So into the hands of the prince. In other words, it became more secular. Secular means what? It is not religious. Okay, if you understand that religious means it is totally into the religion. Secular means you are open to all kinds of religion. It's not religion based. Okay, that's how you need to understand it every step. You need not go deep into the meaning of every words. Under the control of the monarch, education began to devise and preach the infallibility of its masters, the monarch or the king. So monarch is the king, and now they began to preach that why education is important. It also invented and supported fantastic theories like the divine right theory and that the king can do no wrong, etc. So what they are trying to say is now the kings are propagating this, or the kings are trying to tell the world that kings are always right. It's like almost like kings are the people who are always right. So you need to follow them. They can never do any wrong. And the divine right theory, you can assume something like king are like divine people who are always right. This kind of understanding we are getting till now. Let's go into the questions and then we'll understand better. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, now we've crossed Christian era, we've crossed the Renaissance period. Third, they're talking about the Industrial Revolution. All of you remember the Industrial Revolution, right? You have studied this a little bit in history, I think. Education took a different turn and had to please the new masters. Now, it came from the touches of the priest. First it was with the priest, then it came to the prince or the monarch or the kings. Now it is passing on to new masters in the Industrial Revolution. It now no longer remained the privilege of the baron class, but was thrown open to the new rich merchant class of the society. The baron class, I don't know what exactly they're trying to say by baron class. I mean, you might not know exactly what they're trying to say by baron class, but you can assume that baron class means like the top people of the society. Now it is passed from those secular leaders, from the king leaders, it is passed on to the traders now, the merchants, the businessmen, the people, the new breed came out of the Industrial Revolution when the industries were set up, the economy took a huge boost. So a new class of people came up who were the merchants, who were very rich. So now it is passing on to them, it seems. The philosophy which was in vogue during this period, you all know what is vogue, right? Vogue means the hottest trend of that time. We say this for fashion, no? The bell-bottom pants are again in vogue now. So that kind of thing. Was that of laissez-faire, restricting the function of the state to a mere keeping of laws and order, while on the other hand, in practice, the law of the jungle prevailed in the form of free competition and survival of the fittest. Pay attention to the last sentence. What they're trying to say over here is the rule of the state. Okay, as you all know, abroad the country is also known as state. Okay, this is written with that perspective in mind. So the countries were just keepers of law. Okay, they were supposed to be keeping law and order, but actually it was not law and order which the state was able to keep. In reality, what was happening was the law of jungle was prevailing. What is the law of jungle? If you remember in childhood, you would have read stories. Tiger or the lion or the jackal captures the small animals and he eats it. Okay, so when the lion is wanting to run after a rabbit, say, the rabbit who is fittest will run away fast, but the rabbit who is not as fit would be caught by the lion. Am I right? So that's this law of the jungle basically means the people who are fittest will survive. So this state was supposed to be keeping law and order, but actually that was not happening. Actually, in reality, law of jungle was prevailing. Means what? There is free competition. Whoever wants to do anything is doing, and whoever is fittest is surviving in the market. For example, three, four business people. Okay, there is no law and order. Person who is really fit, who has deep pockets, who has muscle power, they were ultimately succeeding, and the other people were dying. Okay, so this is what is the concept behind this paragraph. Now let's go on to the questions. What does the theory divine right of king stipulate? The king are God, that the king of governing is conferred upon the king by God. They have the right to be worshipped like gods by their subjects, that the right of king are divine and therefore sacred. As I told you, you should read all the options in comprehension first. So what they are saying is divine right of king. The kings are gods is not exactly suiting. The right of governing is conferred upon the king by God. This also doesn't suit. They have the right to be worshipped like gods by their subjects. Now, if you read all these things and you go back to this portion, okay, this divine right, it also invented and supported fantastic theories like divine right of theory, and then the king can do no wrong. So what they are trying to say is over here, the kings are propagating that they cannot do any wrong. So what else are they trying to say? Are they trying to say that the kings are God? Not really. The right of governing is conferred upon the king by God. This suits more. They have the right to be worshipped like gods by the subjects. They are not exactly wanting to be worshipped. The right of kings are divine and sacred. This also doesn't suit much. What suits the best is this B, that the kings only will govern this people down, okay? Because this governing rights has been given by the God to the kings. So B is the most apt answer. Then, who controlled education during the Renaissance? Tell me, who controlled? We started at Christian era. That time it was in the hands of the priests. Renaissance era, it came to the hands of the princes, that is the kings. Now, this, even if you don't go back to the passage, you might be able to remember. Who controlled education during Renaissance? The common people, definitely not. The prince, yes. The church and the priests, no. None of the above, no. It was the prince, because church was controlling in the Christian era, and in the Renaissance era, the clutches of the control had come from the priests to the princes. So B is the answer, the prince. What did the ruling class in the Christian era think of the poor man? That he is the beloved of God? Definitely not. They were not thinking anything of that sort. That he deserves all sympathy of the rich? Definitely not. That he should be strong and lord over others? Definitely not. That he is meant for serving the rich? Yes. This is what they were thinking. They never thought highly of the poor people. Even Christian period, Renaissance period, ultimately they just wanted to dominate this poor class. So they were thinking that yes, he's meant for serving the rich. If you want to go back to the question and go back to the paragraph and find out, you can find it out like this. It taught during the Christian era, it taught the poor man to be meek and to earn his bread with the sweat of the brow while they lived in luxury. So basically what they are trying to say, you are supposed to serve me. Who controlled the institution of education during the Christian era? The church and the priests. This I think all of you would remember without going back to the paragraph itself. What does the word infallibility mean? That every man is open to error. The virtue of not making mistake, that some divine power is responsible for determining the fate of the man. So this question, let us go back once again. Where is infallibility? Here it is, yes. In other words, it became more secular. Under the control of monarch, education began to devise and preach the infallibility of its masters. Now, education in the Renaissance period is talking that the monarch or the king are the best. They can never fall, okay? They are preaching the infallibility of its masters. Now, let's understand what is infallibility. That every man is open to error? No. Sensitivity? No. The virtue of not making mistake. This suits better. That some divine power is responsible for determining the fate of the man. No, even not this. This is what suits better, because what this monarch and kings were trying to say was that infallibility means we kings and monarchs are infallible, means we can never make a mistake itself. The virtue of not making a mistake, that we're not supposed to make any mistake. We don't make any mistake. Whatever we do is correct. That is the idea behind it. What do you mean by the sweat of his brow? Very hard work, tiny droplets of sweat on the forehead, the wrinkles visible on the forehead, the sign of innocence. It's definitely not innocence, it's definitely not wrinkles. You may be confused between A and B. That is very hard work and the tiny droplets of sweat on the forehead. In a way, both is correct, okay? But we have to choose the answer which is the most correct, okay? And they are asking, what do you mean by the sweat of his brow? So the sweat of his brow is more like an idiom, okay? It's more like a phrase, it's more like an idiom, where they are trying to convey not that he's sweating. They are trying to convey that he has to be meek, he has to keep quiet, he has to work very hard for us. So the option A suits more, that is, he has to do very hard work. What does the policy of laissez-faire stand for? Individual freedom in the economy's field, state control over law and order in society, joint control of the means of production by the state and private enterprise. D, control of over law and order by the ruling class. Now let's go back to the portion. The philosophy which was in vogue during this period was that of laissez-faire, restricting the function of the state to a keeping of law and order. But on the other hand, the practice of law of jungle was happening. So, which word do you think suits the most? Individual freedom in the economics field, possible. State control over law and order, which was actually not happening. Joint control of the means of production by state and private price, no, that was also not happening because it was law of jungle. Decontrol over law and order by the ruling class, this was also not happening. So the most apt option is 1. Individual freedom in the economics field. Whoever wanted to do whatever was happening and whoever was the fittest was surviving. So this is the A option is the correct one. Which of the following describes the writer? What now, as I told you, this is very important to understand what is the theme behind the passage, what is the idea behind the passage. So whether the people are, whether the writer is concerned, whether he's unconcerned, he's definitely not unconcerned, right? He does sound concerned. Whether he's aggressive, no, he's not aggressive. Whether he is frustrated, no, he's not frustrated also. If he was frustrated, the words and the language and the way would have been different. According to me, what suits the most is that he is sounding concerned. Okay, because of the way things are happening, he's sounding very concerned. Now, choose the correct synonym out of the 4 choices given below. What is Gospels? Chit-chat, a teaching or doctrine of a religious teacher, humor, guidance. We already know it's a teaching, right? Gospels of Bible is a famous word. Famous coined word, which most of you would have heard it. Choose the correct synonym out of the 4 choices given below. Vogue, uncertain, outdated, the prevailing fashion or style. This also, I think most of you would be knowing it because we use this word a lot, right? The magazine itself is named Vogue magazine. All of you would have known that, right? So it is about the latest trends in the fashion industry mostly. So that is Vogue. Okay. So this brings us to the end of our first comprehension. This brings us, the first comprehension is over now, guys. So I'm do a new topic, and that is para-jumbles. In this, the sequence of the paragraph would be mixed up. Okay, it would be jumbled and you have to set it up in a proper sequence, just like how we used to play jumbled letters. No, as kids, the spelling would be jumbled, and you have to put it in the correct spelling. Here, the sequence of sentences of a paragraph is jumbled, and you have to put it in the correct sequence. All right. So let's start. Para-jumbles. Okay. So in para-jumbles, you have to rearrange the sentences so that they turn out into meaningful paragraphs. So basically, the sentences are jumbled up. You have to put them in the correct sequence. What are the 2 things that you need to remember? Number 1, you should be able to understand what is being talked about, and then only you can establish the link, right? So first you need to understand what are they talking about in the 4 sentences. Then only you can put it in the correct sequence, right? The next thing which is very important is to identify that the information should be in flow and to understand what exactly the paragraph is trying to convey. You have to establish a proper flow. Okay, when you read it in that order, the order which now you have set up, you need to understand whether it is making sense or not. Okay, this is best understood with examples. Let's start. Choose the most logical order of sentence from the given choice to construct a coherent passage. Coherent paragraph means basically a paragraph which makes sense, okay, which is understood, which is, it makes sense, right? So the first one is people who start up their own business typically came from 2 extreme backgrounds. One is the business family, another is steady professional. Then is typically from different backgrounds face different kinds of basic problems, okay? It cannot start with B because typically it is saying, okay, the people from both the backgrounds find it very difficult to establish and manage an enterprise. Now, the sentence is already talking of both the backgrounds, means the backgrounds have already been mentioned. So this is also not the first sentence. Then starting up and managing a small business is no joke. Okay. So this sentence cannot really fit in the middle also. So the best way to start would be, say, starting with this sentence, that is starting up and managing a small business is no joke. Okay. Now the second sentence makes more sense where they're saying that people who want to start their own business are from 2 backgrounds. You cannot really start with this sentence, say that people from two business backgrounds have I mean the people who are from two extreme backgrounds have difficulty, and then you cannot say that managing a small business is no joke. So technically it will start with starting up and managing a small business is no joke. Okay, understood. Next, people who start their own business come from two extreme backgrounds. One is family, another is professional. Now they have already mentioned the two backgrounds, so the next sentence can be mentioning that both backgrounds. So it can be this sentence, that is, the people from both the backgrounds find it very difficult to establish and manage an enterprise. Then typically people from different backgrounds face different kinds of basic problems. So the correct sequence will be first D, then A, and then C, and then B. How you have to judge this is, you have to understand that certain sentences will not start. So first you need to find out that sentence which is going to start the paragraph, and then the entire sequence becomes more easier. All right. Next is, venture capital is a recommended as the ideal source of financing for a successfully small business. I'm sorry, there is a little bit of mistake in this. There's a little bit of mistake in this. It's, as I told you, taken from your book. So venture capital is recommended as the ideal source of financing for a successful small business. It should be. And then several companies, including startups, have been funded by dedicated venture funds during this decade. Means this is also not the starting sentence, because they already started talking about this decade. Then despite this, an average Indian entrepreneur understands and appreciation of venture. No, despite this, an average Indian entrepreneur understands and appreciates, it should be. Okay, appreciates the venture capital. Sorry, once again. Despite this, an average Indian entrepreneur understands and appreciation of venture capital concept has been woefully inadequate. There's a printing error over here again. It should be understanding. Okay. Despite this, an average Indian entrepreneur's understanding and appreciation of venture capital concept has been woefully inadequate. So this also cannot be the starting sentence, because already they are telling despite this, means in spite of something already mentioned. Then in the Indian context, though venture capital has been a relatively late entrant, it has made a reasonable impact. So here first they have started talking about venture capital. So this makes a sensible first sentence. They have started talking about venture capital, that yes, it is the ideal source of finance. Then after that, then now they're talking of Indian context. So here it should start in the Indian context. A, and then comes D. Okay. Then after that, if you see, it should be B, because here they are saying it has been funded by dedicated venture funds during this decade. Despite this, they are saying, means although this decade many companies were funded, in spite of that, the Indian entrepreneurs' understanding is very, very less. Okay, so what they're trying to say is, this is the venture capital market. Indian context, this is a scenario. Past 10 years, many companies got venture capital fund, but still the Indian entrepreneurs' awareness is very, very low. So the so the correct sequence would be your A, B, B, C. Now coming to the next part. Progress in diagnosis, in preventing medicine, and in treatment, both medicinal and surgical, has been rapid and breathtaking. Please read this four things which is there on your screen. I want you to read it by yourself. Much in medicine which is not taken for granted was underdreamt of even as recently as 20 years. Presently, smallpox has been eradicated, banished, curable. The dramatic surge in the field of molecular biology and research has succeeded in control parasitic diseases like malaria and river blindness that affect millions of people around the world. Okay. So if you try to understand this, then they are first talking about what has happened in medicine. Okay. So technically the first thing should be medicine, which was not taken for granted, is now taken for granted. It should be much in medicine which is taken for granted there's too many mistakes in your book, is taken for granted, was undreamt of even as recently as 20 years ago. So this is the technically the correct starting point. After that, you can talk about the surge in the field, how it happened. Then you will talk about progress in diagnosis, what it has led to. And then smallpox, what it led to. So the correct sequence would be your BBAC. Okay. Instead, many deaths. This also cannot be the first sentence. Earthquakes almost never kill people directly. This can be the first sentence. Fire resulting from broken gas or power lines is another major danger during a quake. This also cannot be the first sentence because it is saying is another major danger. It means they have already spoken about one danger before. Spills hazardous chemicals are also a concern during an earthquake. So this is one danger that they are talking of, right? So technically, if you see, this should be the ideal first sentence, that earthquakes almost never kill people directly. All right. Then after that, what they are saying is how it kills people. Many deaths and injuries is caused from collapsing of building, bridge, and other such structures. All right. After that, they're talking that after this danger, this is one of the dangers. Second danger is your fire from broken gas or power lines. And after talking about both the dangers, last they are saying spill hazardous chemicals is also a concern. So these two are the dangers they are talking of, A and C, and then spill hazardous chemicals is the concern they are talking of. So the correct sequence will be your B, A, C, D. This was an easy one, I think. The Winchester or hard disk drives can store much more data than what can be stored on a floppy diskette. This can be the first sentence. Hard disks come sealed and they cannot be removed or changed like floppy diskettes. This also can be possible. Often, this is used in conjunction with Winchester disk system. This cannot be the first sentence. This makes for an ideal system of secondary storage. This seems more like a last sentence. Okay. So let's see what can be the first sentence. This sounds like the ideal first sentence where they're talking of both the type of things, like that is Winchester and hard disk drive, right? After that, they're talking of hard disks. They cannot be removed or changed like floppy disks, okay? Then after that, they're talking of floppy disks. Correct? And then after that, this makes an ideal. So this is in the correct sequence already. That is the A, B, C, D. So this should be the correct sequence. For this para jumbles, I will suggest you, it is going to be helpful if you just do a little bit of practice. All right. There is not much logic to it. You just need to have this system in which you can eliminate sentences. Okay. When you're going through 4 sentences, you need to think, can this be the first sentence? Yes or no? If yes, then put a small one to it. I'm sorry, it's a online paper. So you just need to put a mental note that this can be the first one. Then second, then third, then fourth. You're supposed to read it like this. And then try and see how it is tying up. Okay. Like for example, if something is saying this is another problem, then that means that is not the starting sentence. Before that, already one problem has been spoken of. So these are the few tips and tricks which you yourself will discover if you just do a little bit of practice on this. Even if you don't do too much of practice, the 3-4 tips which I have given you in the sequence of this 4-5 examples should help you a lot to focus on, to appear for your CSCET and do it. All right. So till then, bye-bye.